I'm joined today by Mandi Palmer. She has participated in the Practitioner Profit Program. And again, I've been doing this series so that anyone who's interested in this program can get a feel of it from the individuals that have actually participated versus just hearing from me and what I think it has the ability to help you do. Mandi, I'm so excited to talk to you today and to be able to see you because we haven't caught up for a little while. And I want to jump right in because I know we're both busy. And I want to just get an overview of what your experience was with the practitioner program when you were participating.
It was awesome. I joined as already a practitioner who had been doing this, I think at that point, for 5 years. And and I still learned. I knew that I had so much more to learn. I didn't go into it with ego or anything. I knew that I had much more to learn and I knew that something was missing. And the biggest piece for me was, there are so many great things, but the biggest piece for me was the intuitive pendulum testing that you taught us. I sort of had this before this. I had this view that I didn't really ever want to use a tool. I just wanted to train myself. Like I'm hard on myself, right? Like a lot of us are. I needed to do it on my own. Like no tools. Like I just needed to like continue to grow my intuition. And man, I I love using it. My clients love it. The chart that you have, um, just the whole thing. I think it's absolutely great, and the whole thing really boosted my confidence because it was something practical that I could give people. And a lot of times when people see practitioners, even intuitive ones, they're not getting that really specific information. And and I love to be able to provide that to people. And the weekly calls were great that we did. They were every week. And it just felt like practitioners discussing cases and asking questions and learning. It was just a beautiful space.
Hmm. I love that because that's one of the main goals that I had when I started that program was, can we bring it together for all of us in a way where we feel safe asking any question?
Mhm.
And every time that I have a new group of practitioners come in, it changes a little bit because they're asking different questions, or, some of them are like you, where they've been working as a practitioner for years already. And so their questions are at a different level than some individuals that have just really realized it's their love and it's what they want to do. Um, what about speaking to a couple pieces of the program that you feel are unique?
Well, the pendulum chart and the testing, like I said, because I have seen someone else do something similar, but it was different. And so this is the way that you teach it. You're not just teaching us, yeah, test the pendulum, find out what the liver function is. Like you help us understand and interpret these numbers in a very specific way. Because somebody can look at it and make their own assumptions, but the teaching that you have created around it is because anybody can take that. Sure, I'm gonna test someone's EVP. I'm gonna do it. But what was so helpful was your interpretation of it. That was the learning process. So, we learned the intuitive testing early on. That was one of the first things that we did. And then we got the full time to just practice it. And I won't say perfect it, but I got really confident with it because, so we would test the client's chart and that was hard at first. It took a long time. And then we'd send them to you and you'd correct it or verify it. And for me, as time went on, I got to see myself getting better and better. And without that piece of having someone verify it or correct it, I don't think I ever would have used it the way that I'm using it, because now I know, yeah, I'm pretty accurate. And if I'm a little inaccurate here and there, it's not that big a deal. It doesn't really change what I'm doing with someone. So just that whole process of using it throughout the program. And then if I didn't understand something, I could ask the question about it in a weekly call, this person, I got this for their adrenal function and this for their liver function, and I don't really understand that. And you would help clear that up. So there was a building upon it, and that was unique for the program. And just you're unique, and you have a different experience and perspective. And it just really helped me realize how much more, um, how much deeper I could learn everything.
Yeah. I find a lot of practitioners are using the medical medium books and all the information. It's a huge, huge volume of information at this point. But I'm finding that there's a lot of individuals that aren't quite sure how to put it together in practical use.
Mhm.
And that's been my focus right from the beginning, is how can we put this together so that a practitioner can use it the most efficiently and the most effectively. So I really focus on that. I'm not reminding you, okay, you need to go read um,
Mhm. Mhm.
the Brain Saver book, because you're going to do that. But I
Mhm.
am really focused on helping everybody understand how to use that information. Because if you start, sending people to the books and they have these huge menus of supplements and they have 4 diagnoses, they're underwater. Like, how do they know how to use those pieces really efficiently? So I appreciate that, because it's a huge focus. So um, you talk about your confidence going up and being able to use the chart and be able to see the big picture. Um, Medical medium information, what does that look like now compared to, say, a year and a half ago?
With what I was doing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So different. That's sort of where I was stuck, is I understood the information. You know, I could remember it, but how I was applying it was very similar to the Western medical model. Okay, someone has this symptom and condition, and oh, a medical medium in his book has a list of supplements right there for it. And I'm not going to tell someone, oh, take this list. I'd still pick out and choose like which ones would be the most common of all their lists, and which ones I thought would be the most helpful for them. And I did it intuitively a little bit too, picking out which ones that I thought were the best. Um, but it's a really slippery slope, of because with medical new information, it gives us an opportunity to heal from chronic illness and heal ourselves. And healing ourselves is a skill. Self healing is a skill, and he gives us that opportunity to use food naturally and supplements and bringing in the mental, emotional, and spiritual pieces. But I feel like a lot of it just, there's so much of it, and there's so many voices out there with how to use this info. And and I just think people just get so lost, and they still have symptoms after years of doing it, and they lose the overall picture of the real holistic picture,
Yeah.
really what the body needs to feel. Like that's what we're looking at with the chart, and this perspective is overall, what does the body really feel? And what tools can we use to help it along in that process versus, okay, this person has um, Crohn's and adrenal fatigue and, um, tingling and numbness. And instead of going through all the lists and taking a bunch of those supplements and eating those foods often, just bringing it down. Okay, where's their liver function at? where's their dirty blood at? How bad is their chronic dehydration? And just looking at those pieces and what I really feel like it does, and you can see it in my energy as I'm talking, is it grounds us. It brings us back to simpler things. Let's simplify this. And it's just, it's a much more efficient, more grounded, more beautiful and spiritual approach.
You pegged it. It's simpler. It's simpler
Yeah,
instead of trying
it
to
is.
plug the medical medium information into a medical system model,
Mhm.
because that's not holistic. Whereas what we're doing is, and we had so many discussions about what that looked like, and it's continuing to evolve, but powerful, so powerful to be able to look at individuals in that holistic model and then use the medical medium information in that model. It's so much less difficult than most people make it
Mhm.
when they're just using the books, or if they're not using them, like if they're not doing this every day. We do this every day, right? So it's I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that you got that out of this whole
Mhm.
process, because I don't know why else we do it, honestly. Um, okay, so Mandi, who do you think would benefit from this program?
New practitioners, experienced practitioners, so curious about being a practitioner, um, especially if they feel like something is missing in what they're doing or in their life overall, because um, I knew something was missing in what I was doing. The year before I took the program, the year before that, I took a spiritual program because I felt, okay, it's me spiritually. There's something within me that isn't quite aligning. And so I went and, did some of that exploration and I felt the same in my work afterwards. And I didn't even really benefit because I just wasn't feeling like it was right. And and I guess I mean, I didn't know that your program was going to do that for me. I was just still searching. Um, and searching is different from learning. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm always going to be searching to learn and understand things in a new and different way. But I really felt like this was this was really what I needed right now at this time in my life, in my practice.
Do
So
you
yeah,
notice,
so
do you notice that? Like, I can't tell you how many times I've listened to Anthony Williams say, um, I'm the messenger. And he's really emphasized it over the last, I don't know, probably 2 years or so. I didn't hear him say that so much in the very beginning, but he really took it on when he started writing the books. And he speaks at one point about it being what his job was in the first place, but that he didn't listen for a while. I just get a kick out of it when he talks about that. But I love that we have the information as a whole, and then being able to bring it together as practitioners again, because the information is a message, and then how do we use it, right? And I've watched your I remember you and I talking before you joined the practitioner program, and you were like, I don't know, what are you going to be able to teach me? But good thing for that lifelong learner, that was part of it, because it wasn't just about me, was it? It was about the group as well. Because sometimes we don't even know what questions we would bring to, but there's so many questions that, oh, that's a good question that somebody else has
yeah,
brought to the weekly calls as well. So
that was one of my favorite parts was hearing. There were times when I didn't ask questions at all because I didn't need to. I was like, oh, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. And yeah,
I tell you, we have some real question askers at this point. It's like, go, I love those questions.
yeah, it's very good. It shows that they're thinking. They're not smart.
It's fantastic. And the depth of their questions is fantastic. because it brings greater depth to, the answers, essentially. I know for myself, for me to write down everything that I know, who's going to organize me? But here we are getting organized in that
Yeah.
these questions bring forth a lot of information from me and from other participants in the program as well, which to me that's what it's about. It's that depth and richness that we get to bring forward. Okay. This question that I'm coming up with next, what is your experience of the learning you're doing versus the way the majority of the medical medium community addresses health? So we've already kind of addressed that. Is there anything you
Mhm.
want to share in relation to
No,
that? Okay.
no, I have like one sentence written here, but I elaborated on it already. So
Yeah. Yeah, we really are just bringing that holistic model together to use the medical medium information. And that's where I find a lot of practitioners are still caught. We grow up with that medical system model and how we organize ourselves around health. And man, coming out of that, it's a huge part of the program is unlearning that, like coming
yeah,
out of that so that you do have
yeah,
space for that picture of overall holistic model. So
yeah. I really had to do that because clients come to you with that mentality and they ask their questions from that mentality. And it was a little bit of work to shift shift the way that I answer them
yeah.
in regards to
And,
that.
and then the way you educate them moving forward, right?
Yeah.
You're teaching them to come out of that model as well, which we've had lots of discussions around as well.
Mm.
Okay. What about the network? Have you found value in the network that's been developing or growing with the community, with the program? And do you still feel supported? Because I know you've gone through the program, but do you still feel supported? Do you still feel like you have individuals you can reach out to, or that you can reach me if you need to, or anything like that?
Absolutely. You have the Facebook group that's specifically for the practitioners. And, that group is awesome because I know that I can come to that group and ask questions there. I'm asking this community. I'm not asking all the practitioners that may implement in medical medium info a little bit here and there. Um, so that's been really helpful. But yes, I do. I know that if there's something that I don't understand, that I can ask in that group, or I can ask you, or I know that there's something serious going on with the client. I can contact you and you'll
Yeah.
help me. And learning homeopathy, uh, that that Maureen shares and teaches in the group. She answers those questions, and I love being able to connect with the other practitioners, that were in my cohort, or that started after me. We've had chats, we've had Zoom, and that it's not necessarily networking. It's relationship building, friend making, and so yeah, that's been a really helpful piece because yeah, I ended the program last December, and at first I was like, oh no, what's this gonna feel like? Because I had a year of support, and then it ended, and I was like, I'm good. I feel confident in everything, and I know that I can turn to anybody when I have some questions and some support. So that's been a really nice perk of the program for sure.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. Um, just a reminder, we're still doing our networking calls every couple weeks.
I
And
don't get those emails anymore.
okay, let me make
I
sure.
get all the other ones. I get
Okay.
all the other ones. I
Well,
just realized that today. I
let's
just
keep
realized that today.
back on those emails so that you're reminded. And then, Mandi, this last group has been so fun. So take a look at the replays, because we've gone into some subjects that we've just dove right into, like I think we had 2 calls that were almost completely just women's issues.
Mm.
And each call ended up being a couple hours. So it was just completely contained in this. And then we're going to be working with pregnancy, all things pregnancy in the next one. And the calls, like I say, we've got lots of question askers because the calls are go for a couple hours. So you show up for what you can and then you go back to the replay.
Yeah.
It's
And Judy, that's something else that I was really surprised about that you over delivered on was I thought that I wasn't going to have access to the future calls anymore, that what was there was there. And when I went and looked, I was like, oh my gosh, I get to hear what they're talking about this year. So that's really, I appreciate that. Thank you.
well, you're very welcome. It's part of my goal. It's like there's only so many people I can help one-on-one, but if everybody else is helping one-on-one and I'm helping, you do that, I'm fulfilling my calling, which is pretty powerful. So tell me more about you, right? You've got a practice, you've had a practice for years. I'm going to ask you to kind of pop back there a little bit. Like, why do you want to do this work? What grabbed you? What got you here?
Hmm. Well, being sick got me here. But I knew that this is what I wanted to do in some way, shape, or form. I got a coaching certification before I found MM, and I found MM a few months before I finished that certification. And so I sort of had to shift my way of thinking and my way of doing everything for myself and what I did with clients. And you know, every interaction with my clients is an opportunity for me to share the light that I have within. And similar to what you were just saying to yourself, so it's very spiritual work. It's not, never in my mind is the money that I'm making. I'm terrible at that. Like, I will answer people's questions and I will go longer on calls. And I really just want people to walk away feeling, um, more confident in what they can do moving forward in their protocols. I want them to feel less anxiety
Yeah.
about it because it's not just the people suffering with anxiety. Then they get anxiety about having to read all this because when I started, right, there were 2 books. That was it. It was easy, and one of them was full of pictures and food and recipes.
Oh,
And
right.
you know, and now he has these textbooks that are just, I mean, so yeah, the anxiety people come in with. So my goal is to ease that and help them find more clarity and confidence in what they're doing. That and I love doing this work, and I'm so glad that I get to do it in the way that I do.
So tell me what your business looks like now and who you would like to be able to share this with.
So I'm doing one-on-one work
Mhm.
and I'm doing group work. So I have something called the Celery Juice Lifestyle Support Group, um, where I
Fantastic.
let in it's group coaching, so 6 or less people, and with that small group, each person gets about 15 or 20 minutes in the hot seat, and it's whatever they need help with that day and that moment. If they just want to connect with others or just feel heard or complain,
I
whatever
think
it is,
sometimes.
or if they're like, what is this spiritual journey? Why am I suffering this way? All the way from the shallow questions of, how much celery juice should I be drinking to uh, the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of going through this healing journey.
Have you noticed too that going through, like you talked earlier about how you thought you just needed to do it on your own, just needed to receive that intuitive information. Have you noticed as you worked through the medical medium information and your healing that your intuition has gotten much more sensitive and so much stronger and clearer. I
Yep.
noticed that so dramatically. It's amazing. With all my clients, with myself, with everybody else that I've ever talked to, just knowing that doing the medical medium protocols is going to boost my intuition, I'm in. Like, let's do this because life
Yeah.
just gets so much easier. Okay, so how, how can people get a hold of you? Where are you at?
So my website is Mandi with an I, Palmer.com, Mandi, Palmer.com. And they can find me on Instagram too. My handle is Mandi_Palmer_CHC. And signing up for my newsletter is a great way to know what's going on, know when the groups are scheduled. And I put that on my Instagram too.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for doing this today. You're going to help me reach more individuals like yourself that are interested in closing up those gaps where there is anything missing when it comes to their
Mhm.
practice or when it comes to their process. Um, it's absolutely wonderful to see you, and let's talk again soon, okay?
I'd love to. Thank you so much, Judy.